I hope you're all well. Today we are going to be doing my Our Fantasy TBR. This is late. If you don't know what Our Fantasy is, it is a bingo board set up by the people over on Reddit, and it is to encourage people to read more diversely or pick up books that have been on their shelves for a while, or books they wouldn't necessarily look at otherwise. By using this bingo board. They need to be fantasy, sci-fi or horror books, and I did do a bingo board for this last year and I didn't fully complete the bingo board, so I've wanted to do a bingo board this year that I would be more inclined to finish. I think I added some books onto that bingo board last year that I wasn't 100% interested in, whereas this year I have picked books that I am very excited about. Some of these books have been on my shelves for a while, some of them are on their way out, some of them, you know, they haven't come out yet, some of them are parts of series, etc. So I'm really excited about this year's bingo board. My apologies, I'm absolutely sweating. It's like a bazillion degrees. It's 8:30 in the morning, and it's currently already 14 degrees apparently, which I call bullshit on because it's definitely hotter than that in this room right now. It doesn't help that I have a huge bay window and the sun rises up from the front of the house, so it's really warm. Anyway, I digress. So I'm really excited. I wasn't going to do this year, and then I watched Becca's TBR for Our Fantasy Bingo this year, and I was like, you know what, some of these prompts, they sound really good and I'm really excited about them, so I've decided to do it. Now the Our Fantasy Bingo runs from April 1st through till March 31st the following year. So I am currently doing this on the 13th of May. It will be going up on the Sunday of this week, and therefore some of these books I've already read in April. I've been very careful if I've put books on here that I've already read. They're books that I've only read from the 1st of April. So you will see some books on here that I have already picked up and read. So I already have a few boxes ticked off, which is great news, and does make me feel way better about going forward with this. So what I am going to do is go through with you exactly what I've picked for the prompt, and whether or not it is hard mode. The hard mode, essentially, they have like 3 different modes. They have normal mode. I have both my screens on, so I've got my TBR over here, and then all of the information for Our Fantasy Bingo over here, so that I can give you the full prompts and stuff. So there is the normal mode, which means you're just taking part. There is hard mode, which is basically they have like an extra prompt with them. You don't have to do hard mode. And then there's hero mode, which is reviewing every single book that you read. So some of them I will do hard mode on, but otherwise it's just going to be, I'm just going to take part generally. And I'm really excited. So I have an entirely large stack of books here. Let me see if I can swivel you around without breaking you. It is very tall, and I am really looking forward to this. So we're going to start off with the first book. And the prompt for this is first in a series. Hard mode is the series is more than 3 books long. Now, this is the first in a series in which I don't know how many books are going to be in it. There is already a prelude for this, but I am putting the first book in the series, officially the first book in this series. I do still need to read the prelude yet. And then there is a second one with a title and everything on Goodreads. But other than that, there is no other information to say how long this series is going to be. So in theory, if there's one more book, it is like 3 books long, because there is the prelude, and then there is books 1, 2, and then there will be a third book, which is 4 books. But I don't know the answer to this question, so right now I've got it down as a no. So right now I've got it down as a no. Once I know more information, I'll be able to change that. But the book I'm picking for this one is Play of Shadows by Sebastian D. Castell. This is the first book in the Court of Shadows series. As I've said, there is a prelude to this, which is Crucible of Chaos, and I will be reading that one first before I pick up Play of Shadows. And I'm really excited about this one. It is the first in a new fantasy series from Sebastian D. Indy Castell. Swordplay, intrigue and friendships stronger than iron will sweep you up in this journey of swashbuckling fantasy in the first volume of the new Greatcoat series. So I loved the Greatcoat series, and I am very, very excited about picking this one up. This is also on my 24 books in 2024. It was picked for me by CC for 12 books from 12 friends. So very excited about this one. I'm not going to go into the synopsis of all of these, otherwise we will be here all freaking day. Next, we do have a book that I have completed. Tick. It is alliterative title. So this is a book where multiple words in the title begin with the same letter. For example, Legends and Lattes, Bookshops and Bone Dust, etc, etc. Hard mode, the title has 3 words or more starting with the same letter. Not hard mode for this one. But the book that I'm picking is Come Closer by Sarah Gran, CC. I enjoyed this one. It was really good. It is a horror novella about demon possession, essentially. And I had a good time with it. I think I gave it 4 stars. It was great. Oh, I wondered where that had gone. I read this while I was on holiday in Turkey, which was from the first week of April through till the 2nd, 3rd week of April. So it does count because I read it in April and I had a good time. Next, we do have Under the Surface, and this is to read a book that is set underground or under the water, and hard mode is at least half of the book takes place underground and underwater. Now, as far as I know, this book does count for hard mode because I'm fairly certain the whole of it takes place underground. And for this one, I have gone for The Luminous Dead by Caitlin Starlin. This has been on my TBR for the longest time, and I have a video planned in which I'm going to read this, so I know I'm definitely going to get to it. And it is about a woman who goes on a mission, I believe, in a cave, and she ends up getting stuck and she's completely alone and isolated. I think I've been putting this off because I'm terrified that it's going to scare the shit out of me. I don't get claustrophobia very often, but caves is one of the one that does trigger my claustrophobia. A thrilling atmospheric debut with the intense drive of the Martian and gravity and creeping dread of annihilation, in which a caver on a foreign planet finds herself on a terrifying psychological and emotional journey for survival. Fairly certain this entire book is set in a cave underground. So I'm looking forward to this one. I did have the majority of these. I went through the story graph. They have like a story graph page set up where people can recommend books, and I went through the entire story graph thing to make sure that everything would count. So yeah, I am looking forward to this one. I'm worried it's going to terrify the shit out of me, but also it's what I want. And I do want to get into more sci-fi horror as well. I don't pick up sci-fi too often, which is another reason why I wanted to do our fantasy bingo. It would force me to get to some of my sci-fi books on my shelf. So this is going to be for Under the Surface. Next, we do have Criminals, and this one is for a book where the main character is a criminal. This could be a thief, an assassin, someone who commits mail fraud, etc. And hard mode is a book that features heists. Now, by my book, I don't think features a heist. I'm fairly certain. If it does, I will change it. But I am going for The Crimson Moth by Kristen Cicerelli. So for this one, our main character is a witch, and our other main character is a witch hunter. Now, I think that counts because a witch hunter is an assassin, I reckon. So it is a witch and a witch hunter story. I haven't read it yet. I don't know. I'm picking it up the week that I'm filming this, so I am picking this up very, very soon, and I will know by the end at that point whether or not this counts. It was on the list, so we'll see whether or not it actually works, but I am looking forward to reading this one. It's giving me Serpent and Dove vibes, and I'm excited about that because I love Serpent and Dove. I didn't continue the series, but I am excited about it. As far as I know, there's no heist, but there could be. I will switch it up if they're not switch it up. I will change the hard mode if there is a heist. Next, we do have Dreams, where the main character experiences dreams, magical or otherwise. And hard mode is the dream is not mystical or unusual, just a normal dream or nightmare. So for this one, this was one that, again, I googled, but I also checked on Storygraph, and this came up on both of those options because I couldn't think of a book that features dreams off the top of my head. And apparently What Feasts at Night, sorry, by T. Kingfisher, which is the second in the Sworn Soldier series, features dreams. So I don't know how true that is unless it's mentioned in here. Oh, But as their sleep is increasingly disturbed by vivid nightmares and odd happenings perplex the household, they are forced to confront the possibility that there is more to the old folk stories than they'd like to believe. Okay, it literally mentions nightmares. Interesting. So I'll find out as I'm reading this whether or not it is mystical or unusual dreams or nightmares, or whether they're just normal ones, and whether or not it counts for hard mode. But this is the one that I am going for that. It is a horror novella. The first one was What Moves the Dead, and I really enjoyed it, so I'm very excited about picking this one up. Okay, next row is entitled Animals, and this one is a book that has an animal in the name or title. It doesn't have to appear in the book though. And hard mode is the animal in the title is a fantasy or sci-fi creature, i.e. the Last Unicorn, Leviathan Wakes, the Kaiju Preservation Society. My animal is not a fantastical animal, but it is Bunny by Mona Award. I've had this on my TBR for so long, and I know that Katie from Katie Colson really loves this one. I know that Kayla really enjoys this one as well. I'm fairly certain that Meg from Meg with Books enjoys this one as well. So I don't know if this is going to be too weird for me or not. I'm not sure. It is a horror, I think, blending sharp satire with fairy tale horror. Bunny is a spellbinding trip of a novel from one of fiction's most original voices. We'll see how weird it is, but there's a bunny on the cover and it says Bunny in the title. Okay, next we have a book that I have read. The prompt is bards. So read a book in which the primary protagonist is a bard, musician, poet or storyteller. Hard mode is that the character is explicitly called a bard. We are in hard mode for this one. He is literally called a bard in the synopsis, and it is mentioned many a time in the book. And the book in question is A River Enchanted by Rebecca Ross, in which we're following Jack, who is a bard. And he's asked to come back to his home island, in which young girls are going missing. And we are also following Nadera, who they have childhood enemies, and she ends up asking him to come back because she thinks that his songs are the only thing that could help get the kids back. And they end up having to work together to try and solve this mystery. I gave it 3 stars. It was fine. I didn't love it, but it was fine. But it does complete a prompt, and it is also in hard mode. So I am glad I've read it, and I do want to get to a Fire Endless pretty soon. But yeah, this is another one that is already completed and tick for hard mode. Okay, the next prompt is prologues and epilogues, and for this one the book needs to have a prologue or an epilogue, and hard mode is that it's got both. The book I am going to go for is Two Twisted Crowns by Rachel Gillig, which is the second one to One Dark Window, which I really enjoyed. I gave it 4 stars, and I'm very excited about continuing on with this series. In fact, I think this is a duology, so this will wrap up this series, and this does have both a prologue and an epilogue, so it does count for hard mode, and I am looking forward to this one, following Elspeth, who has a nightmare. Does she call it a nightmare? I can't remember. It's been a while since I've read the first one. Yeah, the nightmare. There's a monster inside her head that can speak to her, and it's called the nightmare, and it's been ever since she was sick, and they are trying to get these 12 Providence cards together because they don't want them to end up in the wrong hands, and I'm really looking forward to it. Elspeth must confront the weight of her actions as she and Raven embark on a perilous quest to save the Quilt Kingdom. So I'm looking forward to continuing on with this series. I'm very glad that it counts for the hard mode. Okay, next we have self-published or indie publisher. So this is a book from a self-publishing author or an indie publisher. A formerly self-published novel has been picked up by a publisher. It only counts as challenge if you read it when it was still self-published. The hard mode is that the book has fewer than 100 ratings on Goodreads, or an indie publisher that has done an AMA with our fantasy. So for this one I'm actually going to go for Mina and the Cult by Amy McCaw. This is published by UClan Publishing, which is a university not too far from me actually that does the publishing. So it is a very small indie publishing situation, and this does have less than 100 views on Goodreads, so it is hard mode. It's currently got 54 views on reviews on Goodreads, so it's got less than 100, so it does count for hard mode. I am currently 189 pages into this one, and I did start it while I was on holiday. So again, I've started this in April, at the beginning of April, and I would like to finish it off soon. before the end of our fantasy. I'm going to be so pissed if I haven't, but I will. But yeah, I do want to finish this one off. This is the third and final book in the Mina and the Undead series, and I absolutely love this series, following a young girl who basically moves to New Orleans for reasons and ends up coming across vampires, and it's really good, and I'm having a fantastic time with this series, so very excited to continue on with it and finally finish the series out. Next we do have Romantasy, and for this one it's to pick a book that features romance as the main plot. This must be speculative in nature but does not have to be fantasy. And the hard mode is that the main character is LGBTQIA+. Now for this one, it is not a hard mode book. It is one that I have already read. I read it while I was on holiday. And it is Lady of Darkness by Melissa Rorich. I don't know how you pronounce her last name, my apologies. I did read this one while I was on holiday. I gave it 4 stars. I quite enjoyed it and I would like to continue on with the series. So not hard mode, but it is a romantasy and I have completed it and I'm excited about that. I'm happy. Next we do have Dark Academia, which is a book that fits the dark academia aesthetic. This includes school and universities, secret societies and dark secrets. Does not have to be fantasy but must be speculative. Hard mode is that the school itself is entirely mundane. Now as far as I remember, because this is the sequel, as far as I remember the school is mundane. As far as I remember. So the book in question is Bloodmarked by Tracy Dion, and this is the second in the Legendborn cycle. I read Legendborn last year or the year before, and really I enjoyed it way more than I anticipated I was going to. So I'm very excited to continue on with this series, and I'm fairly certain that the school that Bree goes to is a mundane school, and then all of a sudden all of the weird fantastical creatures and stuff end up coming out and she ends up part of this secret society of King Arthur, you know, King Arthur's descendants. So it's all like a King Arthur, not retelling, because it's not a retelling, it continues on his legacy essentially. And I really loved the first one, so I'm very excited about reading this one. So I think that it counts because I'm fairly certain that the school in the first one is mundane. I can't remember if she's still at the school. I don't know if she's still at the school in this one. I haven't read it yet, but there is a secret society and originally the school is mundane. So yeah, hopefully that counts for this one. I am very excited about getting back to this one. Why is the text in here so small? Is that absolutely necessary? I'd rather it be like another 200-300 pages longer with bigger text, to be honest. Okay, next we have multi-POV, and this is read a book with at least 3 points of views of characters, and the hard mode is at least 5 points of views of characters. So for this one, I am going to go for We Ate the Dark by Mallory Pearson, which is a horror, and essentially this is following Sophia Leon disappeared. Her remains are found stuffed in the hollow of a tree, bursting through the floorboards of an abandoned house in the woods. The women who loved her flocked home to North Carolina hills to face their grief. But I think we're going to follow the story of them all, and then I think maybe they're going to come back together. I'm not sure. So we are following Frankie, who is Sophia's twin. We're following Poppy, Cass, Maya, which is 4 of them. So not hard mode, unless we get some POVs from Sophia back in the past as well. I don't know. But it's multiple POV because we've got the 4 of them. So I'm excited about reading this one. I haven't specifically heard whether or not it's good, and I'm doing my best not to have a butchers at reviews because I don't want to know. But this did come out earlier on this year and I am looking forward to it. So hopefully it'll be a good one. I love this cover. I'm obsessed. It was definitely a cover buy. Okay, next we have published in 2024. So this is a book published for the first time in 2024. No reprints or new editions allowed. But if it's the first translation, if it's the first translation in your language of choice, it is allowed. Hard mode is that it's also the author's first published novel, so it's a debut. And for this one, I am going for Dead Girls Walking by Sammy Ellis, which is a debut, and I'm really looking forward to this one. It is a horror YA. A YA horror, sorry, that follows Temple Baker. Evil runs in her blood. Her dad's a murderer and he is a serial killer, I think. But she's not convinced. He's admitted to killing her mum. She's not convinced that he did. So she goes back to their old home, which is his old haunt where he used to bury the bodies and kill the women. But it turns out that it has been turned into a camp for queer horror loving girls. Queer horror obsessed girls. So she poses as a camp counselor to try and find out the information that she needs, and then one of the girls goes missing. So I'm looking forward to this one. It sounds fantastic. This cover is insane. Like, so good. I am obsessed. Very excited about this one. I really wanted a decent excuse to pick this one up, other than the fact that I really want to read it. So I'm very, very hyped for this one. I'm glad that I've managed to make it fit on the Our Fantasy TBR. So yeah. So next we have a character with a disability. Read a book in which an important character has a physical or mental disability. Hard mode is that it's the main character that has a mental or physical disability. And for this one, I'm actually going to go for Clementine Book 2 by Tilly Walden. I have read the first one, and this is basically set in the same world as The Walking Dead. And I really enjoyed the first one. As you can see, our main character does have a physical disability with her leg. So I really enjoyed the first one of this, and I am excited about getting back to it. It is all in like black and white, and I had a really good time. I love The Walking Dead. So not that I've ever finished it, but I'm not up to date with it either. But yeah, I am looking forward to it. So this one is going on for that, and it does count for hard mode. Next, we do have a book that's published in the 90s. The hard mode on this is the author, or one of the authors, has also published something in the last 5 years. So for this one, I had this real urge to want to read Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton. I know that Gav loves Jurassic Park. He's read the first one, absolutely loved it. And recently I saw that Meg read it and really, really enjoyed it. So I have this massive urge to want to read it. I love the Jurassic Park movies, the originals and the news. And I just really, really enjoy them. So I would like to give it a bash. I feel like it will be a great time. And why not give it a read for this prompt? Because it was published in the 90s. Michael Crichton has published stuff since, but nothing in the last 5 years. So it doesn't count for hard mode, but I am looking forward to this one. I have heard that it is different in some sense to the movies. So I am interested in reading it on that basis to see what the differences are. But I'm excited about picking this one up. So yeah, that's what I'm going to pick for that one. Then the next prompt is Orcs, Trolls and Goblins. Oh my. This is to read a book that features orcs, trolls or goblins. And the hard mode is that they are a main character. So for this one, I'm going to go for The Grey Bastards by Jonathan French. We are following our main character, Jackal, who is proud to be a grey bastard, member of a sworn brotherhood of half orcs. So he is a half orc. This does also have like full-blooded orcs in it as well. And I'm looking forward to this one. I've had this on my shelves for a while. I got this fucking ages ago because Cody loves the series, or she really enjoyed this one at least. And I've been meaning to pick it up for a while now, and I do have a vlog coming up soon that this can count for, so I am hoping to pick it up for that so that I can get to it pretty soon. But yeah, I'm looking forward to reading this one. I've heard such good things, and every single time I go in a Waterstones I see the rest of the series and I'm so tempted to pick them up, but I haven't read this one yet, so I haven't done so. But this is the one I want to pick for that. So I think half orc would still count because he is still half an orc. I don't know. Hopefully that still counts for hard mode. We will see. If anybody knows the answer to that, let me know. Okay, next we do have Space Opera. So this is to read a sci-fi book that features a large cast of characters and has a focus on social dynamics which may be political or personal in nature, set primarily in space or in spaceship. Hard mode is written by an author of marginalised gender identity, for example, women, trans people, non-binary people. And for this one, I am going to go for Exit Strategy, written by Martha Wells. So it does count for hard mode. Half mode does count for hard mode. This is the fourth book in this series. I'm fairly certain it's the fourth book in this series. Yeah, this is the fourth book in this series, and this is where I'm up to. This follows a murder bot, and basically in the first, it does literally says the fourth and final part of the Murderbot Diary series, which is a lie because I've got another 2 books on my shelves and I know another one's come out. Oh no, I have another 3 books on my shelves in this series. Yeah, we're following a murder bot who, in the first one, obviously, they're supposed to murder people that aren't doing what they're told. Turns out this murder bot just wants to live their life and watch TV and just chill out and live their life. And it's just really kind of cozy and cute, and I really enjoy it. But when I googled space operas, this series always came up, and also it was on the recommendations from Storygraph as well. So, and it counts for hard mode. Math Wells. Okay, next we have an author of colour, and the hard mode for this must be a debut novel published in the last 5 years. This is not a debut novel published in the last 5 years, but for this prompt I am going for The Deep by Rivers Solomon. I have had this yet again on my shelves for a really long time, and it's so small. I don't know why I keep avoiding picking this one up. I don't know what's wrong with me. This one also could have counted for Under the Surface because it's obviously set underwater. It's about killer mermaids. It's a horror, and I'm looking forward to it. I don't understand what's taking me so long to pick this one up. I think it's that I just don't know if it's going to be up my street. Maybe it's that. But this, it was gifted to me bloody ages ago from Bobby as well. Thanks, Bobby, for that. But yeah, it's about time I got to this one. So I've popped this on for author of colour. Next prompt is survival. So read a book in which the primary goal of the characters and story focuses on survival. Surviving an apocalypse, a war, high school. Hard mode for this is not a super virus or pandemic. So my book will count for hard mode because it's not a super virus or a pandemic. And we're going for The September House by Carissa Orlando. This one, I think, is a haunted house story. Just when you thought you'd seen everything a haunted house novel could do, this book comes along. And I think any haunted house story is a story about survival. You're trying to get out of there alive. Do you know what I mean? A woman is determined to stay in her dream home even after it becomes a haunted nightmare in this compulsively readable, twisty and layered debut novel. A story about survival. I'm really looking forward to reading this one. I have heard mixed things, but I think it's going to be great. And I think it counts for survival. Also, it was on the Storygraph recommendations. So I'm looking forward to this one. I love this cover as well. I picked this up last year, but it came in a little bit too late for me to pick it up in September, and I'm so tempted to pick this up in September this year because it's called September House. I don't know, I just have this thing about things like that. Just me? Maybe. Anyway, next we do have judge a book by its cover. So this one is choose because you like its cover. The hard mode is pick the book based only on the information available on the cover, no reading of the blurb. When I first saw this, it was when it came out. I didn't get it when it first came out. I only got it recently, and I have read this one. It came out in 2022, translated, and I didn't know anything about it. I just saw the cover and freaking loved it. And then I had like a vague knowledge of what it might be about and then forgot. I have ADHD, so that happens a lot with me. So I'm gonna say that it counts for hard mode. I never read the synopsis, I don't think, unless I did in a video for a video. No, I did, actually, I did. So we're gonna turn the hard mode off on this one because I did read the synopsis for a video when I read it. But the book is The World After the Fall, Volume 1, which is a manhwa. And it was okay. It wasn't what I hoped it was going to be, especially considering that I've been looking at this book in the shelves and online for the last 2 years. But it was fine. I am tempted to continue on. I just don't want to pay for these volumes because they're so expensive. This one cost me, I think it was about 20 quid or 15 quid or something. But it was fine. I did pick it up for the cover, but I have read the synopsis, so it doesn't count for hard mode. Next, we do have set in a small town. So the primary setting is a small town. Hard mode, the small town can be real or fictional, but the broader setting must be our real world and not a secondary world. This one does not count for hard mode. It's not set in our world as far as I'm aware. I don't think it is anyway. And it is Can't Spell Treason Without T by Rebecca Thorne, and I'm already partway through this at the moment. I'm currently 126 pages in and absolutely loving this. It is set in a small town called Tawny, nestled in the icy peaks of Dragon Country. They set up shop. And it is queer and it's got dragons in it, it's got a bookshop in it, You know, it's absolutely adorable. Just got trees in it and tea. And I'm having the time of my life with this book right now. So yeah, it doesn't count for hard mode, but will count for this prompt. Okay, next is 5 sci-fi fantasy short stories. So any 5 short stories or novellas, so you can pick like 5 shorter ones. Hard mode, read an entire speculative anthology or collection. So I am picking an anthology. I just don't know if it's speculative yet. So I'm not sure if this is hard mode or not. If you know the answer to this one, please do let me know. But I am picking The Black Girl Survives in this one, which is a collection of horror stories. A YA anthology of horror stories centering black girls who battle monsters, both human and supernatural, and who survive at the end. I'm really looking forward to this one. The cover for this is stunning. I've currently got a copy on its way to me at the moment, but I don't physically own it yet, so I am very excited about this one. I don't know how... Oh, there's 15 stories in this. I only really need to read 5, but... well, the whole anthology, to be fair. But I am really excited about this one. I'm really looking forward to it, and I just love the cover. It's so beautiful. So I have picked that one for this prompt. Next, we do have Eldritch Creatures. Read a book featuring a being that is uncanny, unearthly, and weird. This can be a god or monster from another plane or realm and is usually beyond mortal understanding. Hard mode. The book is not related to the Cthulhu mythos, which I think is associated with H.P. Lovecraft. I don't know the answer to this. I don't think it's associated, but I don't know. So if anybody knows the answer when I show you my book, let me know. But the book in question is Someone You Can Build a Nest In by John Wiswell. This one features a shapeshifter called Shishishin. And as a monster, she has made a fatal mistake and fallen in love with a monster hunter. And I'm really looking forward to this one. I believe that this is like cozy fantasy mixed with horror. And I am so intrigued to see how that's going to work. I know that Jade's read this recently and kind of liked it. So I am very intrigued to see how this is going to work as a fan of both cozy fantasy and horror. So I'm really, really intrigued. We'll see how this works. But this is my plan for that one. So if anybody knows whether or not this relates to the Cthulhu mythos, let me know in the comments down below, because I don't know the answer to that question. Let me know. Okay, next we've got reference materials, which is read a book that features additional materials such as a map, footnotes, glossary, translation guide, dramatis persona, etc. Hard mode, book contains at least 2 types of additional material. Now this one contains 1 at least. However, one of them could be questionable a little bit at the end as well. So the book in question is Cursed Cocktails by S.L. Rowland, which is a cozy fantasy book, and very much so given the vibes of Legends and Lattes, and is also indie published. It does have a map in the front. However, the one in question is at the back, and because of the nature of this book, obviously it's got cocktails and stuff in it, you can download the recipes of Cursed Cocktails as well. Would that count or not? Can anybody tell me whether or not that would count? If it does, I've activated hard mode. And if not, then we're not on hard mode, which is absolutely fine. But I am intrigued about reading this one. It sounds really good. Sign me up. And then last but by no means least, we do have book club or read along books. So this is to read any past or active R fantasy book clubs, as well as past or active R fantasy read alongs. There is like a link where you can check out all of the past books and the current ones. And the hard mode for this one is must read a current selection of either a book club or read along and participate in the discussion. I don't know whether I'm going to participate in the discussion, but I am reading a current selection from one of the books, and it is the Happily Ever After book club pick, which is Forged by Magic by Jenna Wolfhart. This one sounds really adorable. I've seen the cover about a lot and it looks really, really cute. And it's a heartwarming feel-good fantasy romance with a helping of spice and only a pinch of danger. It sounds really, really cute. It's a complete standalone fantasy romance novel set in the whimsical world of Falling for Fables, and it sounds adorable. Look at this cover, it's absolutely beautiful, and I'm very excited. So it is the May pick for the Happily Ever After book club for our from our fantasy, so it is a current pick. Whether or not I take part in a discussion, I'm not sure. Someone You Can Build a Nest In is also a current pick at the moment as well for a different book club. I think it's the Goodreads Book of the Month one. Yeah, May Goodreads Book of the Month is Someone You Could Build a Nest In by John Wiswell. So, you know, I mean, you can't double up with the books. You can only have one reread, which I haven't picked a reread yet. So if something inevitably, you know, someone hops on and says, oh, that doesn't really count for that, I will probably find something else that does, potentially use a reread. But yeah, so far, that is my TBR. We will see how much I manage. I am looking forward to it, but so far I've already read 4. So we have alliterative title with Come Closer, we have Bards with River Enchanted, we have Romantasy with Lady of Darkness, and we also have Judge a Book by Its Cover with The World After the Fall, Volume 1. So I have read 4 so far. It's going great. I am partway through Mina and the Cult for self-published or indie publisher, and I'm also halfway through Can't Spell Treason Without Tea for Set in a Small Town. So I'm hoping this year I will actually complete this, and maybe we can do a review of it next year. I was going to do a review of this year's, but, well, last year's, but if you still want to see that, let me know. I don't know. I have tried to go through it and fit all the books in that may have fit those prompts that I did read in the end, but I still don't think I've completed the challenge. So we will see what happens. But yeah, let me know if you wanted a wrap up of last year's Our Fantasy from my original video. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Are you taking part in Our Fantasy this year? Do you think any of the ones that I've picked don't work? If you do, let me know in the comments down below. Be nice about it though, please. I did a lot of research into this in the middle of the night. One day, I don't know, I just watched Becca's Our Fantasy Bingo TBR and then was like, I want to do this. And it was like midnight, half midnight. So I went ahead and did it and finished about 2:30. It is what it is. I hope you have enjoyed. Chat to me in the comments down below, and I shall see you in whatever comes next. Bye for now.